We thank Mobidel, our platinum sponsor and title sponsor of the program, and our outstanding support given by AIA for CEO Forum as well as for CFO Forum and various other events we host, and also our print partner, Corporate Image, and Media Factory, our media agency partner. Before we start moving on to today's event, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our next month event. Could I have the slides, please? When we start talking about next month event, I would like to briefly remind you about what the history of enterprise productivity revolution. So from 1960 to 76, during that time, mainframes dominated, and then followed by mini computers, and distributed PCs in last decade of the previous century, and of course the web, internet driving enterprise efficiency during the last 13 years or so. So what is happening now? So what is the latest trend? That's what we are going to discuss at the next summit, next LBR LBO Enterprise Summit. So that's about SMAC. Now SMAC is not, I know that all of you are digitally savvy people, so we are not talking about that a small bottle of sugar loaded colored water. Okay, SMAC here we are talking about is social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. So our next, what we are seeing is, okay, what is going on today is in the world, social media offering seamless collaboration and integration of information and dissemination of knowledge between multiple stakeholders, and mobile is creating a pervasive data environment, and analytics apply to multiplicity of disparate data sources, unearthing insights which has not been possible in the past, and clouds making computing truly ubiquitous, making mission critical information visible on real time across your value chain. So we decided, usually we push the envelope in our summits, so we don't want to, we always bring the latest technology. We will create a discussion on the latest application of latest technology in enterprise space. So the next summit will be, it's quite a long title for a summit, why should social, mobile, analytics, and cloud be in your transformation agenda? So in the very same venue, we'll be spending one full day on the 14th of October, starting from 8:45, going up to 6 p.m. We have speakers committed so far from Microsoft Asia Pacific, Oracle, WSO2, Brandix, Commercial Bank, Billion MID, JL Morrison, SAP, Enable, Hemas, Microimage, Maze. So we got some leading, companies, blue chip companies, Sri Lanka, as well as some technology giants, regional representations. We have 5 launch sessions. The day is packed with 5 great sessions. I'm sorry, each session has fairly lengthy, titles. Leveraging social, mobile, analytics, and cloud for enterprise effectiveness, challenges and opportunities for C-suite. This is not a technology. This is not a summit for technologists, only for techies. It is mainly for application and deployment of technology. We have regional research coming from Microsoft Asia Pacific. Sanjeev Veera Wagner will moderate the session, and we got lineup of very senior executives from various countries representing various fields taking part in the panel discussion. Second session will be how social, mobile, analytics, and cloud enable development distinctive value proposition. We have Peter D. Almeida and from Enable delivering the first keynote, and the second one will be delivered by Chris Sia, regional director, sales consulting director from Oracle, and Rohan. I think Rohan is here in the audience. Rohan will moderate. I believe Rohan knows that he is planning to, that I have already invited him. And then we have very senior executives again coming from various industries taking the panel discussion. Third session will be about how social, mobile, analytics, and cloud are shaping the future of brands. We have head of global digital marketing of Infosys delivering the keynote address. Himanshu is the head of JWD Colombo. Until very recently, he just transferred to JWD South, based in Bangalore. And we have some very senior marketing executives, discussing the future of brands and how the brands will respond uh, uh, to social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. Insights from big data, the new source of competitive advantage. We have a data scientist coming from Bangalore, Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, Professor Polak Ghosh. Polak has a PhD from Ann Arbor, and he's a data scientist as well as an industry consultant. So he's going to discuss how the big data is applied, solving big corporate problems. We have Helani. Helani is the CEO, alumnus of Booz Allen Hamilton, and the CEO of Learn Asia. She's heading a large big data project at Learn Asia using mobile telecom data. We got again some great resource in the panel. And finally, we will be discussing the manufacturing technology strategies for the future. We had Dylan Gunaratna from MAS discussing, making the keynote, and Imal Fonseca, CEO of Ceylon Biscuits, moderating, and then we have Ramesh over here. He will be joining the panel, and leading supply chain expert, and another, and Chana De Silva, who is a veteran technology executive, joining the panel. So the date is 14th of October, and all of you are here because you love digital, you are digital savvy, and you want to know, okay, how the enterprise future effectiveness and efficiency can be shaped by application of social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. So this is a great place for me to make a good sales pitch. So I believe that I've done that, and that there are leaflets, and please visit lbo.lk/summit. You can download the complete program as well as the registration form. So hope to see you and your colleagues and your senior managers. This will be a source of inspiration and source of knowledge for any executive in any corporate discipline. So may not be it supply chain, be it CRM, be it sales, be it marketing, be it HR, of finance and ID. These sessions will inspire people, and that will give you, great new knowledge on how to apply social, mobile, analytics, and cloud in enterprise space. So thank you so much for listening to me. I know that you are here not to listen to me, but our speaker, Ramesh, and the dialogue with Sanjeev. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome our speakers. Over to you, Sanjeev.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lakshman, for that introduction, and welcome, Ramesh. I actually got to know Ramesh quite a number of years ago, wasn't it? When 2001, when I actually worked for IFS, the ERP provider, and we were desperately trying to sell IFS to John Keels, but didn't really fly. So I have actually been in technology over quite a number of years, but not anymore. Now I'm more into training of other types of stuff. I used to let's at PIM as well, till I found that technology had totally overtaken what I knew. So I thought that's good to give it up. So I'm really looking forward to today's session, because I think I'm going to learn a lot as well. And if you really look at what we see out there, we hear technology all the time. We are with technology all the time, and most of us, I guess, can't live our lives anymore without technology. But is it really something that helps us, or is it a problem? And I think sometimes we cross this fine line. So I'm sure we'll hear more about it today. And I think over to you, Ramesh.
Ladies and gentlemen, so I think 3 weeks back, actually, Lakshman called me about the event that he was trying to promote. So when he spoke of SMAC, I said, Lakshman, are we kind of being ahead of the curve, trying to promote SMAC when the people in our boardroom don't even understand digital? Then he suggested that why don't we do a CEO forum on digital? So here we are. So here I am at least talking to you all, but I don't see too many CEOs, but at least I see familiar faces from the IT fraternity. Nevertheless, so next 45 minutes to 50 minutes, my agenda would be to take us through a journey, and there are a lot of video clips so that we understand the potential of digital from a holistic point of view in terms of what's happening today in the world, not in terms of something that we're looking to mirror ball and imagining that this could happen, but it's a reality which is right now happening in the world. Right, so if you look at the business context today, there's a huge paradigm shift, right? If you look at everything is getting globalized. And if we sitting in Sri Lanka think that our economy is surrounded by water and we are protected by being an island, I think we are sadly going to be wrong, because into the future, India and China is going to be the number 1 and number 3 economies of the world. And we are sitting pretty in between. And fortunately enough, I think we had the Premier of China visiting us. And I don't know whether it had correlation to that, but we had a lot of price benefits on electricity tariffs and stuff. So that's the kind of windfall we could probably inform. And also we are going to see a lot of mega cities with a population of 50 million emerging, and 16 out of those 20 is going to be in Asia, like Dhaka, Bombay, we're talking about Bangladesh, Dhaka, Malaysia. So there are going to be a lot of these concentrations in Asia. So sitting in Sri Lanka, if you are saying that those mega cities are not our market, and our market is only going to be Sri Lanka, then obviously I think brick and mortar would do. I don't think we need to go for pixels and bytes, right? So and also one other thing that we are seeing very fast, the linear value chain is perishing. Today we are seeing a value chain which continuously come together when you want to consume something and it vanishes. Today all of us have a mobile in our hand, but when I want to send an SMS, I see a value for the mobile. After that, I'll put it aside. When I want to make a call, I will probably have a value for it. Then I put it aside. So today, with the penetration of mobile, we are seeing a device becoming so sophisticated and something that we can't part without. I think a couple of us take to the washrooms as well, right? To clear the email and all the other stuff. But imagine the power that a device of that caliber has brought to us in terms of replacing our address books to emails to personal organizers to begin with. So personally, these technologies are disrupting even us as individuals, how we work, how we live, how we play, right? So if you look at, I think I would like to add one more to what Lakshman was talking about, is IoT, Internet of Things. So the prediction is by 2020, there are going to be 70 billion devices on the internet, right? 70 billion. Today we are talking about 5 billion phones, right? And we are talking about that becoming 70 billion connected devices in the world by 2020. So which would mean there are going to be a lot of intelligence, there are going to be a lot of things which are going to get connected. Everything is going to get consumerized. Every device potentially in your house, including your fridge to the microwave, everything will have intelligence that you could manage. Today, I think that sophistication is there, but in certain parts of the world. So what we are seeing is the six degree of separation was a concept which was there, that from anything to anyone or anything to anything, you could probably get to that in 6 steps. So with what's happening, it could be less than 6 steps. So if you are saying a 6 degree of separation is becoming a reality, it's becoming faster and it's becoming realizable because of the digital convergence. So I think organizations today are faced with 2 choices, right? I think all of us know that, innovate or perish. So all of us say that we want to innovate, we want to be Apple, we want to, kind of profess to innovation in all organizations, we do that. But then how do you ensure that innovation becomes reality when the basic assumption that we make in organizations doesn't change, right? Now, yesterday we had an interesting forum, I think a couple of my colleagues were there in Triton on banking. And one of the questions that I asked today, I think one of the questions which got asked in the panel was, who owns the customer? Today, who owns the customer? No one owns the customer. Customer owns himself. We don't own the customer, right? But he sees a value in what we give at a point in time. Today, we define a banking customer in terms of a guy who will have 15,000 rupees to open a savings account. I am saying, why do you need to have a Facebook account? An email ID. So why can't a guy with an email ID have a bank account? Is it a blindness that we have put onto ourselves, or is it that saying he is not worthy of being a customer? Right? Because with the limited knowledge that we have of him, we think he's not worthy. But if you mine the data about him in the big data space, he might be worthy. he wouldn't disclose what probably he is worthy of, right? So that is where the convergence and the bigger picture, because today, a lot of our decisions get made with structured data, which is only 15 to 20% of the picture that we see of a person or of a event. So ultimately, it's about velocity of execution, which is going to give you the competitive edge. So a lot of us think our business today is 8 by 5, right? Today is Friday, we are happy, we'll probably have a couple of drinks. Tomorrow is Saturday, my day off, Sunday day off. But how many of us think that our business is 24 by 7? That our customers want it to be 24 by 7? So we think we work 5.5 days. We don't care. If you come on Friday, I'm not open, you come back on Monday, right? I remember a time vividly when I was a kid that the banks would say, you want to bank with me, you come at 9 o'clock and you shall go by 12, right? And there was no unibank, you got to go to a specific branch. So today, if any bank told you, you come at this is such and such a time, you'll say, go fly a kite, I'll find another bank, right? And that's going to happen to every one of our businesses, right? Because today, consumer has choice beyond the shores of Sri Lanka. And that is becoming fast realizable because what's happening on the internet, right? So this, I don't want to bore you with the numbers, but today, in the internet minute, a lot of things are happening. I don't want to get into details, but imagine if so much of stuff is happening in the internet minute, what are we missing in terms of data, in terms of possible opportunities, right? Are we saying all of this does not matter? So the question that I would like to pose to the audience is business context and digital context. Is it one and the same or is it different? So we talk of emotional intelligence, we talk of emotional quotient, IQ and all of that. But how many of us talk of digital quotients? So I'd like to share a video in terms of statistics that I've been talking about. So these videos will be dated. I think Facebook has just crossed 1 million. And from a Sri Lankan context, what I know is that internet penetration is about 5 million. And of that, 4 million users reach internet through their mobiles, which is a fact. I think Rohan probably could endorse that. So I just want to spend a bit time on the digital quotient. And like to share some statistics of the World Economic Forum's Network Readiness Index. Right. Now, this is a benchmark which is done across the globe. Factors which are looked at is from an environmental point of view, the infrastructure, affordability, skills, from a readiness point of view, and usage of technology by individuals, by businesses, and by the government. And how the confluence of this is impacting the economic and social development. If you look at the benchmarks globally, other than the Americas, Australia, Singapore, barring in the Asian context, there's a whole heap of improvement which needs to happen from a purely digitization point of view in terms of opportunity, in terms of where countries could progress, right? So I'm just sharing a bit more detail. If you look at the top 10, Singapore is number 2, Finland is number 1, Sri Lanka was at 69 last year, slipped to 76, India is at 83, right? So Sri Lanka used to be in 110 plus about 3 years back. So it's a phenomenal growth for Sri Lanka to have gained 30 points. But the issue is, if we are saying we are going to become all these hubs that we profess from the presidential mandate, my question is that if we don't leverage technology, we have no chance in hell to achieve that vision, right? So if we don't put money where the mouth is in terms of enabling us to become a force to be dealt with, today Singapore is probably the most digitally equipped country in the world, right? And they are able to do stuff that others can't even dream of. Today they are piloting educational systems which could be digital, right? And I know they are funding a lot of research. I think we have one from Singapore. Jonathan could probably endorse in terms of what's happening. They have research funds, incubation funds, where they give out in terms of research where people could go and create new products in terms of being entrepreneurs, right? And I know a lot of us used to say Singapore stole our plan in the 70s called Colombo Plan and built a beautiful city, right? So today, the reverse psychology, I think, is something that we should apply. If you look at the benchmark between Singapore and Sri Lanka on 10 points on which the Network Readiness Index is conducted by World Economic Forum, you would see, other than affordability and skills, we are far, far way down in those rankings. And surprisingly, government usage of technology beats business and personal usage, right? So that is something that business should be worried about. We always thought the government is always at the back foot, but here the fact says otherwise. The government is at least using technology better than the businesses are. So with that, I would like to share another video from Accenture in terms of some snippets in terms of where technology making ground and where the big companies are professing that they would want technology to go to.
To drive business change.
So you're saying even the leading companies, BMW, Procter & Gamble, all of them are saying they are going to be the #1 digitized company in their respective industries. And that's their vision. So we all know digital is disrupting, right? But if you just ponder and think, how has that changed us in the last 5 years? How much have we got disrupted, and are we being cloned today? Today, I'm of the view that someone with the right tools could clone me, because there are enough of information out there in the internet about me that they could easily impersonate me, right? So that's the power of the data which is out there, which we seldom realize. If bits and pieces could be put together. It's easy for anyone to, because if you look at today, hacking is one of the big time pastimes of a lot of the kids. And with handful of tools which are out there, people could do collateral damage, which can even ruin. If you look at Target supermarket was hacked in about a couple of weeks back, right? Which made their shares tumble by 40–50%, right? That's the kind of damage which could happen because you sometimes don't see the potential and the threat which is out there. So why does it matter? Why does digital matter, right? So I think if you really look at digital has the potential for someone to leapfrog. I think if you take in the telecom parlance, I think Asia leveraged mobile in a big way because we did not have the copper that Americas and the Europe had. So we leveraged from when the Americas and Europe had to go through copper, ADSL and stuff, we leapfrogged from 2G to 4G LTE, and today 80% of our infrastructure is wireless. And today wireless is the way to go. And today we are sitting on a similar opportunity as corporates and as a nation to leverage digital. Because we are happily building the highways, which is important, physical infrastructure is important, but what about digital infrastructure? You cannot build one at the expense of the other because both need to go hand in hand, because ultimately the highways will not connect us to the world. The digital highways will connect us to the world. It connects us to the markets. It will connect us to suppliers, which that we have unknown, that we shall not work with. So ultimately, it's a game changer. It gives you an opportunity to disrupt in the right sense. I don't know how many of you have heard of Uber. I will probably talk about those case studies. Uber is disrupting the taxis and the transportation system across the world. About 2 months back, the London cabbies went on a strike because of Uber, right? Because they are feeling the pinch, where they could command a premium, they could rip you off, and you do not have an option today. Anyone with a car could be part of a transportation ecosystem, right? Whether he's a CEO, a CIO, or a lawyer, in the part time I want to make some money, I have an opportunity to make pocket money. So digital obviously creates opportunities.
We don't know what news is going to look like. We don't know what education is going to look like. We don't know what business is going to look like.
I have a dream.
Well, a major announcement today by NASA that a new form of life has been discovered right here on Earth.
All of the devices that we make have the potential to communicate with each other.
The future of retail is new. Let's step into the future and take a look.
This is the hottest for the season.
Okay.
No.
I would stand in line for this.
Do you like the smell of adventure?
There's always room in life for this.
Förlåt Henrik, kan vi inte bara ta ner den där schampoflaskan?
Sorry.
Vad är störst? VM-guld, OS-guld eller Stanley Cup-guld?
Hennes Schonus, ja.
Tack så mycket Henrik för intervjun.
Ja, men alltså det...
Aerial Fashion Shoot was the most public and interactive product demo in detergent history. From day one, people waited for hours on Facebook just for their chance to stain something exclusive. The winter clothes were then washed with Aerial Actilift. In front of tens of thousands of Facebook onlookers, we had proved beyond a doubt that Aerial Actilift removes tough stains. Aerial Fashion Shoot generated a media reach of well over 5 million.
Mr. Zuckerberg, do I have your full attention?
No.
You can't ignore social networking.
Is just help people connect and communicate more efficiently.
Is an amazing trend, and more and more companies now are acknowledging that they have to integrate their websites with Facebook.
Brand management today is what you're all about.
40% of which use Facebook off their mobile.
What's happening on Twitter?
You're trending.
Yes.
People don't want to compromise on what they have today.
They want the best of what they have and the best of what they want.
Will never surrender.
To succeed in business, you need a brave idea, the courage to pursue it, and a community where you can flourish.
When you give everyone a voice and give people power, the system usually ends up in a really good place.
The more you are able to customize and personalize the products that you offer and the marketing that you have, I just think that the more effective it's going to be.
Noen utfordring, noen suksess?
Svaret er yes.
So today, I think we are working on a couple of projects. I know with Mobitel at Cinnamon Red, right, which is a hotel which recently opened. We've gone on a model which is called a lean luxury, where the entire concept is that how can we give better service with less human intervention. And today, by about 1st of October, we are planning to launch a self-check-in kiosk at Red, which will not need a human intervention. You could check in, stay, check out without human intervention, right? So that's the kind of paradigm shift I think we need to bring to this world, because ultimately the perception that human intervention is required for customer delight is a myth, right? Delivering information, qualified information to the edge so that consumers can have a better service is reality. And that information sometimes is not within the four walls of our companies because it's a transactional data. So one of the things that I always ask, now if you take, I'm just saying Cinnamon Grand, who would have the best information about our customer? Not the GM. It could be the valet guy. It could be the guy who's at the counter, because he's the guy who would know you intimately. I'm not saying the GM wouldn't, but about every customer, right? Because what we would capture from a data point of view is transactions. If he went and had a cup of coffee at coffee shop, I would know, okay, hey, he spent $5. Then he went to Cheers, had a drink, I know, hey, he spent $100 on a beer. Or then he progressed to Lagoon to have dinner, I know, okay, he spent $3,000 on a meal. So I only kept transactions. I wouldn't know who he is, how much is his worth, what is his profile, when will he come next to Cinnamon Grand to have a meal. So what's trending is digital is transcending boundaries, right? So I think I would like you to focus on the bottom, forget about the top four parts, the examples that I have listed. Today, how many have heard of Netflix? Netflix is disrupting how people watch movies, entertainment. And all it takes is about $5 a month. And unfortunately, it's blocked it's not available in Sri Lanka, right? So the challenge is we can have a false sense of competitive advantage by blocking all these guys. But how sustainable is it? Are these barriers there to stay permanently? Or should we be breaking these barriers so that we become competitive as a nation and we hone on our competencies and be ready for the digital era, right? So other thing is Uber. Today, a lot of people would like to show their interest on Pinterest, right? You would do your reading on Kindle, whatever, TripAdvisor, you'll book your stuff, your holidays on TripAdvisor. Today, the middlemen, like travel agents, are getting marginalized, right? No one goes to travel agent. But you have enough information, you have enough network to figure out what is the best destination to go and to solicit feedback from your colleagues and who matters to you. Today, Nike's fuel ban. Those days, if you look at Nike's innovation was Nike Air, Air Plus. But today, Nike's fuel ban is giving Nike enough information about the consumer as to how he is using Nike, this thing. They're trying to disrupt in terms of understanding your behavior. How much water are you drinking? How much time do you spend exercising? What is your heartbeat? So they are trying to be intimate with you, right? Through data. iWatch. Apple follows suit. And from a Sri Lankan context, e-channel in Kapruka is breaking the linear ecosystem, value chain, into a value ecosystem, right? Because so we sometimes, I think, gone are the days that we look at forward integration, backward integration, because we want to own the entire value chain. Today, that's impossible. So you want to own the value chain where your core competence is high and where you feel you have the expertise. And you would want to co-create, collaborate across the value chain in giving a consumer what he wants, right? So trend 2 is crowdsourcing co-creation. Today, if you have a house to rent, you can go to Airbnb, put up a house. It's available for anyone who wants to book, right? You don't have to build your own website, build your own portal, build your own Facebook page, waste all that money, because that is not your core competency. All you have is your asset is a house, right? Because a lot of us think that, okay, I have a business, now I must have a website, I must do all of these, but maybe if your size and thing matters, but not as a prescriptive way. Today, Kickstarter. Now, you can, actually, if you're having a startup, you could crowdfund yourself. I actually tried that, but I didn't get any money, but you can, right? Today, you can put up your proposal up on the web, and there are funding portals where you can go and raise your capital, right? Today, everything, there is a digital mechanism to it, right? Mechanical Turk. Today, the creative side of the crowdsourcing is happening in the retail and FMCG space. Procter & Gamble's next iteration of products are crowdsourced in terms of what color the next lipstick should be, what flavor. And Walmart today has a thing called Get on the Shelf. So if you see there's a product in the Walmart that you want to see, you can go and tell them, hey, I want to see this product. And it's best that you put this product on aisle 1, not in aisle 3. And Lay's has come up with the innovative way that they tell you, you tell us what flavor you would like to see next, right? So there's a lot of interaction and passion in the whole thing, which is becoming viral, right? And DHL's My Way, I don't know, in Nordic they have launched this where DHL puts up every day in Norway all the parcel which needs to get delivered in Norway, right? So I, as a guy, I'm going from A to B, I can sign up, pick up the parcel, and it's all digitally enabled, deliver the guy, he gets confirmation, I get paid, right? So they have brought about an innovative way of the value chain where instead of them building up a whole heap of vehicles and stuff, fleet management, add to the misery, they are saying, hey, let me use a crowd-enabled mechanism to deliver this, like Upruka, right, or Uber, right? So that is, I'm saying these are all realizable stuff for Sri Lankans. Maybe barring the legal framework where I feel we need to get more efficient, but I think it's realizable. In a closed ecosystem, we could do a lot of this stuff. So today, a lot of us think, I think we always, when you're investing in a company, I'm sure Nistanka can vouch for it, what would you look at the balance sheet, right? There are good assets, a good company, if it won't fall, I can sell the asset to recover my money. But today, in the digital era, there are no assets. What you have is data, what you have is interactions, what you have is people, right? What you have is an ecosystem, right? Today, Facebook, a lot of people ask, why did Facebook pay such a lot of money to buy WeChat? Or vice versa. Because the acquisition is happening because of the interactions, because of the fan base that they have, right? Because it's helping them to expand the ecosystem overnight. And that is where they're seeing the power. And yesterday we had an interesting presentation from one gentleman from Philippines. Now he's from a telecom provider. He is taking on the banks head on in Philippines. He is giving the banking to consumers in a more friendly and economical way than the banks. Right? Where he say, if you go and ask a loan from the bank, they say, show me what you got. Then why would I go for a loan if I have money, right? But the telecom guys say because of the big data stuff. And today, a telecom company could predict a person's earning capacity based on the ARPU, what each guy pays. You can extrapolate. I'm sure Melanie was doing something like that. I think last time she spoke that they're helping the government to plot or locate bus stations in Sri Lanka based on teledensities during peak hours. So there are a lot of correlation in data that we don't see. Even at John Keys, we are piloting a few of those to unearth the correlation. But unfortunately, we don't have the expertise in Sri Lanka about data scientists and the language you need like R and stuff. So which we are trying to manage. But these are the challenges we would have. If we don't see this as a challenge, we will not develop these skills, right? Trend 4, I think trend 4, 5, 6 is more in terms of the infrastructure, IT, the cloud, where things are moving, the open compute. Today, for any business, infrastructure, cost of infrastructure is not an inhibitor, because that's fast. It's no longer a barrier. So I just want to emphasize on that. Today there is enough skills, enough capacity at the price point that you need if you have a big idea, because infrastructure cost is not an inhibitor or a barrier in today's world, right? So you could see that in terms of where things are moving, in terms of everything. Today SAP announced that they acquired Concur, the travel portal, right? So a lot of consolidation will happen, and a lot of those things will be available to you as an application of the cloud, which will be available on your mobile. So I don't want to bore you all with the software stuff, but it's what is important. If your business is going to be 24/7, it's important that your infrastructure needs to be 24/7. So a lot of the people think, if I want to have 24/7 infrastructure, it's going to cost me a lot. But today with cloud, today with economies of scale the cloud brings to you, you don't have to do too much of it. Because John Keys outsourced the entire email of 3,000 accounts about 2 years back to O365. We had maybe a couple of hours of downtime, but it's much better than the data center we used to manage, right? So we always need to understand when scale comes, the resilience and thing that you can build into that scale is economical for them than for a smaller company like us, right? So you're going to see much more resilient infrastructure available at a fraction of the cost of building your own. This is a snippet from Apple. So Steve Jobs was a gentleman who got fired by Apple, got rehired when iMac was not doing too great in the 90s. And he went on to, when he brought about iPod, a lot of the people laughed at him, right? And iTunes overtook sales of all the musical records. And when iPhone came, a lot of the people thought that's not going to succeed either. And no one thought the BlackBerry will file Chapter 11 either, right? But if you look at what has transcended, because a lot of the time, I'm sure Sanjeev is going to ask me the question also. When people say brick and mortar works well or click and mortar, why disrupt? Why go to pixels and bytes, right? The challenge is if someone's smart out there figures a way, you're duped. So it's better for you to be the first than react to someone's action. So digital disruptors, I always say, in our business, we always need to look for an inflection point. And the very word digital disruptor is, it brings about an inflection point in the industry that others have to react to. Take Uber, for example, take TripAdvisor, take Dell's go-to-market in terms of online, e-commerce, what they did, Apple, what they're doing. So what we are seeing is, it's not a point-in-time activity, but it's a journey. It's a computers that you need to build to be able to disrupt successively, not just once. So that's a core competency that as an organization you need to build to be able to survive, and which is something that Apple has done. And it was questioned whether after Steve Jobs Apple would, but I think they have survived. So it's a matter of time. I know the Samsung is giving them a good fight, right? So that's where the challenge is, because you would see that Samsung has a bigger portfolio than Apple, and with the Internet of Things kind of a concept, Samsung is better enabled because they have their fridges, they have all their household items as well. And if they could connect all of that, Apple doesn't have an answer, right? So when you look at an ecosystem, I think that is where today you're seeing Microsoft CEOs collaborating as putting Android on Nokia. Why would it? They are professing nothing but Windows, right? Today the competition is a non-entity. People are collaborating because they know if they don't, they will become a non-entity. So what are the imperatives? I think the debates that we should be having, or at least discussion that we should be having, is most of the businesses today are transacting, right? We don't have an intimate relationship with our clients. Very few can profess that. So if you want to create that engagement, is digital a preferred platform? So that question can only be determined by the customer. So what is the customer's mode of interacting with you to create that engagement? If it's going to be his Android phone, is it going to be the Apple phone, is it going to be his Nokia phone, whatever it is, right? So if you're saying the customer is given the choice, then it's important that we need to bring that as part of our ecosystem. So today, I'm just saying, if you take, for example, now, if you are forced to go to a bank or go and shop at a retail mall, the biggest issue becomes a car park, because our basic assumption is the customers who are going to come to see us will drive. What about the guys who come by bus, right? So what about their conveniences? So the issue is, we are, by the assumption that we make, we are knocking off a huge segment of the market out of our radar. That's the bottom of the pyramid, where the growth is happening, right? So if we are saying inclusive, sustainable growth is something that we profess, digital has a huge play in bringing the inclusiveness. Today, 18 million of the Sri Lankan's 20 million population has a mobile. May not be a smartphone. So if we can, in whatever form, USSD, SMSs, could be even an app with a smartphone, if we can leverage a service to that 18 million people, are they going to say no? Or are we saying that they are not our customers, right? So the basic assumption that we make in terms of customer profiling is where the flaw is. But then we say we don't need digital, brick and mortar works for us. Brick and mortar works in terms of segment of the customers that you define as your customers. If you say guys beyond Sri Lanka, the shores of Sri Lanka is not your customer, then you don't have to be digital. But if you see there's potential, obviously you need to be digital. And you need to be 24/7 because we don't live in the same time zone. Right? So if the moment you cross the shores of Sri Lanka, you have to be 24/7 because the time zones are different. And you need to be up and alive. So everything today is about dynamism, right? So there is nothing permanent about a business. Today, if you take I think one of the points that I missed earlier on is that the Digarati culture. So this Digarati culture is all about what really is exhibited in companies like Google, Facebook, who have been born in the digital era, the last 5 to 10 years. Because for them, it's about not about how many hours I work. It's about outcome. It's about not about what I dress, what I look like, what titles I carry. It's about outcome. How am I impacting society? How am I doing something different? And having a vision, which is very simple. Google's thing is about I'm in a business of processing data, information, right? Not about Google Glasses and driverless cars. But that's again the mathematical problem for them. It's about processing information, right? So if you can have a simplistic vision in terms of what you do, it's easier for the employees to relate to it and to add value to it. So the biggest challenge that I've seen in most organizations is to bring about this culture. You want people to innovate, but you can't get off your traditional culture of saying, hey, I can't let go until these guys do anything you want. No, this guy has to come to office at 8 o'clock, he can go off at 5. But I don't want him working after 5, but where do we draw the line? Where do we create that thing? Where does that Digarati culture fit in our corporate culture? Who leads the charge of the change? So this again, I'm talking about a lot of dynamic stuff, but ultimately what we're saying is there is no permanency. So if we are talking about there is no permanency, how agile is our organization in adapting an opportunity, right? So say for example, I'm just saying, now today, if you have the opportunity, if Uber came to Sri Lanka, how many of you would volunteer a car to be part of that system? Show of hands? I'm sure we have this big problem called ego, right? Status. So in Sri Lanka, that's the biggest problem, right? Because we have this issue that we are so and so, and we shouldn't be seen driving a car, right? So that's against the cultural context. So innovation, digital, all of that has a lot of barriers in our social context, and those are things that we need to break, and that's definitely something the X and the Y gens will break. It's already broken, right? So it's important for us to, if you're serious about digital and taking that from a Sri Lankan context, we need to drive the cultural shift as well. So what are the critical success factors, right? It's ultimately, sometimes we may see the opportunity, but we may not engage the opportunity, right? So because of the mandates that we have, because of certain goals that we are chasing, right? It's about, say, simple thing. I think Apple had a thing called fail fast, fail safe, right? Sometimes it's instead of perfecting a product to the nth degree, it might be good to do iterative products or services where consumer has feedback and improve it based on that. So that they get a feeling that ultimately they are consuming something which is that they are contributed in creating. So if you look at Uber, if you look at Netflix, if you look at Amazon, started as a bookshop. Today they are threatening the telco space, right? They are in infrastructure. They profess to be the biggest cloud service platform in the world on infrastructure. They are taking all the telcos out. So how did that transformation come about? Because they had something the telco did not have, customer intimacy. they had much more closeness to the customer than the telcos had, right? So being transactional and being engaging that is where you may not own the guy, but you will have much more loyalty in the long run. So again, the transformation, I said, from the linear value chain, we are seeing ecosystem, right? So today, for example, I know in Sri Lanka that there was a group of guys who were creating this app. They want to list all the restaurants on an app, right? So instead of Chinese Dragon having a separate delivery service and all of that. So they said, if you want to order any food, we have signed up with these guys. You tell what you want. You wanted maybe rice from Chinese Dragon, you want chicken curry from Flower Drum, you pick all what you want, right? So if we can bring that thought process about, then we would have achieved what we have to. Then you need a transportation ecosystem and a billing ecosystem to deliver that. So today, we have these blinders on saying, if I'm ordering something, I have to order from one place. That's the basic assumption we have made. If you break that assumption, there's an opportunity to co-create, collaborate, give better value to the client. Because we want to own the entire value chain. That's the biggest problem that I see. This is Uber.
Uber's mission is to go to every major city in the world and roll out an efficient, convenient, elegant transportation system. I like to think that Uber is creating a new way of getting around cities. First use case that matters in a city is going out. You know, maybe it's date night or maybe it's going out to the clubs with friends, but very quickly it starts to move into daytime use. You get used to pushing that button at night on Friday or Saturday. Then you're stuck between meetings and you need to get somewhere. And it sort of works its way from the weekend into the weekday. That simplicity around not having to think about how I'm going to get from point A to point B is huge. In cities around the world, especially the major ones, you have a very stagnant transportation ecosystem. A lot of times they don't work. Bringing innovation to this world, which in many cases really hasn't been innovated on in decades, can really bring diversity to a system that hasn't seen a lot of that. Uber is everyone's private driver, and the drivers are the lifeblood of Uber. We're bringing that kind of experience to the masses.
I started with one car and right now I have several cars. I couldn't see myself managing 5, 6, 7 drivers without Uber. I would have to have a whole office, dispatcher, and now it's easy.
I set my hours around my kids' school. Once I take care of them, then I can schedule any day, anytime I want to work. The freedom is the big component of my decision to join Uber.
So much about cities is how you get around them. If you can bring real efficiency, real convenience, and real comfort to how you move around that city, you can change the way people live in that city.
So actually Uber is in Mumbai, in Chennai, and in Bangalore in India. But it doesn't come to Sri Lanka. I don't know why. Right? But this is what I'm talking about. In terms of disruptive thing, I think you can go to the website. They're in about close to about 70 cities in the world now. So in terms of possibilities, if you look at innovation, I think you would see various types of innovation which have happened from a process point of view, from a finance point of view, from an offering delivery, and you see very familiar names up there, right? So even for us to look at innovation, I always say that a good book to read is Blue Ocean Strategy of John Keynes, and a case study around yellow wines. I don't know whether you all have read about that, yellow live. So normally drinking wine is thought to be for the elitists, right? Who can, with the smell, say what flavor it is, what wine it is, and stuff. Right? These guys broke that myth. They put all of those stuff on the label, right? Made it shape. So you would want to have some kind of meat. They'll say if you're having this meat, this is the best, right? So I'm just saying, if that's on the label, what if you could create a portal where all of those, so you say what your meal plan is, and if the portal could recommend you wine, right? Today, my challenge, I'm always in loggerheads with my management as well in pushing IT to the next level. I said, what if we can have a system where I have a loyalty program which is enabled on your mobile numbers. When you enter Cinnamon Grand, I know so and so are entered, and you go to Cheers. If you get onto your mobile phone a menu which is customized to you, would you prefer that than waiting for 30 minutes, wavering some guy trying to seek his attention to take your order? Right? Innovation is up to us. The capability as to what could be done is there, but making it a need, making it a business case, needs discussion, needs debate, right? I think that's where we sometimes, the comfort in terms of brick and mortar, the status quo, and being content with the status quo is the biggest inhibitor in terms of innovation, right? So it's all about digitizing everything. So I always, I'm an data evangelist. So I have to profess that I want to digitize everything in the value chain, right? So whether it makes economic sense, obviously is a debate that we need to have. But ultimately, we must understand that efficiencies are not brought in by human intervention. Efficiencies are brought in by automation and bringing in the correct information to the periphery. Today, in most organizations, we tend to manage the organization by starving people of information. The starving people who need the information of that information, right? So if you can empower them by delivering the right information, would you have a better organization, better engagement with customers, right? So that would mean that you need to digitally enable your employees as well, right? Today, because cost reasons, we might think, hey, I don't want to give this guy a smartphone. Why do I need to give that guy? But what is the benefit of giving it, right? So if we can push each and every customer to do self-service, wouldn't that help your value chain as well? So this is not a prescription, but my 2 cents in terms of if you really want to be a disruptor, what steps that you need to take, right? And always start from inside out. Look inside your business, inside your processes, see whether there is inefficiencies in the value chain that you can bring technology to bear upon. And look at, in your industry, the trends and best practices across the globe. And whether those best practices can become relevant to you at what investment. And whether you could promote the Gujarati culture and the digital capability. Because digital capability is not something that you could build overnight, right? So sometimes because of systems which are closed, like probably the ERPs that you might have or banking systems you might have, it might be very difficult for you to embark on the journey that you would want to. But then if you don't plan for it, you'll never be able to do it. And another myth, very pervasive remark that I get when you talk about digital, hey, I got a fantastic website, I have a Facebook page, I got a mobile app. That's not digital. That's what you call bolt-on, right? So when you have a brick and mortar, having points of enablement of digital doesn't give you a digital value chain. So you need to take a holistic view of your value chain and see how could you transform. That's where the efficiency lies, right? A lot of the businesses profess that they're digital just by having a Facebook page and say I have 25,000 fans. Hey, how better can I get, right? So if that 25,000 probably
Force knows. Our location-based augmented reality app helps people locate the nearest store. They can enter it like a regular supermarket, walk through the aisles and choose from over 1,000 products. When they check out, purchases in their virtual baskets are delivered straight to their home. Time-starved consumers liked this combination of traditional retailing experience and e-commerce. After all, there are no long lines at checkout and no trolleys with wonky wheels. News of our 1,000 store launch spread through PR, video and word of mouth. And Yihaodian was thrilled by a staggering 17% increase in revenue over a 3-month period. So now when it comes to sales per square foot, we can truly say that we are Yihaodian.
So imagine zero inventory, no salespeople, no, not many staff, totally virtual reality app based on location-based services, and they open 1,000 stores overnight. Who else can do that? That gentleman is truly innovation powered by digital. So I would like to leave, probably before I wind up, thought from Jim Whittaker. You never conquer the mountains, you conquer yourself, your doubts and your fears. If not, you wouldn't have made it to the Mount Everest. So last but least, a video in which probably would motivate you to go digital. Thank you.
Before we get on to questions, thank you, Ramesh. Thank you very much. I'm told that we need to watch some commercials. So can we have some commercials, please?
LBR LBO CEO Forum.
Platinum sponsor.
Mobitel Business Solutions, accelerating your business.
Silver sponsor.
AIA Insurance, the real life company.
Media agency partner, Media Factory Group of Companies.
Print partner.
LBR LBO CEO Forum.
Platinum sponsor.
Mobitel Business Solutions.
That's it. Yeah, okay. Okay, so Ramesh, like everything you said was really interesting, really exciting, and also a little bit scary. Yeah, because it seems as if, well, digital is taking over, and possibly even taking over our lives. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it has become very intrusive, which is true. But that's what one of the main reasons that I feel we need to look at it in a pragmatic point of view. It's a double-edged sword. So from a Sri Lankan point of view, as I said, with about 5 million penetration from the mobile internet side, 18 million mobiles, we have to see whether there is a better way to the madness in terms of bringing inclusive sustainable growth. I think we should start the discussion in terms of how can we bring in better economies, better efficiencies into the supply chain, because today if you look at even if you take a simple supermarket, in terms of what you stock, in terms of perishables to, so if you can bring in efficiencies in terms of even digitizing certain of those options. Now I know at Keel Super we gone online, but if you look at major portion of the sales come from overseas, right? So, but from Sri Lankan context, still people prefer to go to the grocery stores and pick stuff up and not do things online. So again, no, these are a couple of the cultural things that we are seeing, which will fast change with the X and Y gen coming in, right? So it's a matter of time. So we should not be taking a backseat saying, hey, this is a kind of a brick and mortar shop that we have in Sri Lanka, and let's not waste time looking at these evolutionary options. Besides, today, I think mobile has changed how we look at things, how we work, how we play dramatically, right? Today, I'm sure all of you, while probably listening to or not listening to my presentation, were doing a lot of stuff with the mobile, right? And that will not be a reality if not for not only the device, if not for the content, if not for the apps which are sitting on your mobile, right? Which are constantly downloaded because you have an affinity to that. So you yourself have become a part of a digital ecosystem, and you're expanding on it, right? Why would you go and accept invites from fans, sometimes unknown? Because sometimes you will say, hey, I seem to have at least 10 guys, mutual friends. He can't be bad. Let me accept this guy, right? So today, the 6-degree separation is fast becoming lesser and lesser, because when you have a need, actually I've seen that. Now, when a business opportunity comes, I go out through my LinkedIn. First thing I search, I'm sure at least through maximum 2 to 3 references, I could get to that guy. And that's the power of LinkedIn from a professional space, right? So all I need to ask 2 guys to do an intro, and I'll probably be there. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know whether this guy existed or not.
That's absolutely true. So what we are basically saying is we can't get away from it.
Yeah.
And definitely I think it's needed, because it's definitely going to increase efficiencies in organizations and all that stuff. But one of the points that you said, actually, I started just having some questions in my mind, is that about, I think, one of the hotels where you have introduced a kiosk, where without any human intervention you can check in and check out. Yeah. So, but if you take something like Facebook, I think the big success about Facebook is that it helps people talk to people.
Correct.
Yeah. And even LinkedIn, it's all about people again.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, we are saying, okay, let's automate stuff and get people out of the picture. But do people actually want that?
Okay, I think it's about. I know it's a tough question to answer from economic perspective, because obviously we are not saying get rid of the guys, but all we are saying is in the value chain, if you want to bring velocity, right, you got to take the undue delays out of that equation on the value chain, right?
Of course.
So the important factor is, by automating, are we taking off activities which does not need human intervention, hence making it fast and efficient. So obviously, I think if you read clearly, I think what they are saying is in about 10 years, an average guy needs to have about 4 to 5 jobs to fill an 8-hour day. Because if you look at the kind of robotics and automation which are happening in the world, there are a lot of people are going to be out of jobs, routine jobs, right? And more jobs are going to get created in the data science space, research, operational.
High up the value chain.
High up the value chain. So obviously, anyway, Sri Lanka is maybe far away from maybe facing that issue. But in developed economies, that's becoming a reality. Today, if you look at drones patrolling and robotic dogs patrolling the street, is all a reality, but not really unleashed on a commercial level, right? Those are all, today, US unmanned aircraft could go anywhere in the world, right? So drones will become into the future, the way that they would police and manage things, right? So robotics is going to come big time into our lives, right? So I'm sure, like, at least we are blessed that we won't be in the working probably age to see those things, but our kids definitely would be facing the challenge.
No, right. There's absolutely no doubt. But also this whole human touch type of human interaction type of thing. I was speaking to someone recently where this guy had read a study about Christmas cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we would think that the number of people who send Christmas greetings that it would be mostly done through email and stuff like that, right? But what this guy told me is the study has shown in the US, that the sales of snail mail, traditional Christmas cards, had increased last year.
Really?
So probably people are saying, okay, yeah, digital is great, but where do we draw the line? I think we need to strike that balance, isn't it?
Definitely. I think 100% digital obviously is not going to be reality, but the level of comfort with people, I think even if you look at when ATM got introduced in Sri Lanka, right? Today, I don't know how many of you all really go and deposit money into an ATM. Show of hands. There are still people very apprehensive of depositing money into an ATM. They'll go and withdraw. But they think, hey, I don't know whether it'll end up in my account. I'd rather go to the teller and give it to him, so I'm sure that it'll get into my account, right? So those human psychic barriers obviously something.
Those are still there.
Will be there. Yeah.
Shall we open it up to the audience and get some thoughts or questions, opinions?
Criticism.
Is there anyone who would like to open things for us?
Rohan must be eagerly waiting.
Was it?
Say a few things.
Yeah, or maybe till someone gets a question, maybe I can ask another one. Yeah, big data. So big data is fantastic, right? It tells basically. I think there are probably people out there who know more about me than I do.
Possibly.
Yeah, and the flip side of that is, what about privacy?
I think that's one of the issues that we are probably battling out, because I think I've taken this issue up with ICT as well. Today there is no enactment for privacy in Sri Lanka, but in other countries there is. Now, say for example, even on outbound, if you call the guy second time and he doesn't like it, he can tell you not to call and you have to, right? And even information. Now today I think the biggest debate which is going between the opposition and the current thing is about the electronic national ID card, right? Where they are saying they're going to fingerprint all 10 thumbs. Imagine if that can go into the wrong hands, obviously even they could probably impersonate you. They could fix you on a crime, right? So privacy obviously is a huge challenge if a judicial mechanism is not efficient. So that is something I'm sure that we need to contend with, and as a industry we need to fight. We need to ensure that those things.
Okay. I think there are some interesting questions out there. Who should lead the? Can we?
Digital.
Yeah, is the CIO or the CEO who should lead the digital plunge?
I don't want to be prescriptive. I think the issue is who understand digital better, the organization better, should lead the charge, and others have to contribute, because digitally not a one-man show, right? If I profess I can do digital at John Case alone, I'll be fooling myself, right? So it's about ultimately the person who knows it has to lead the charge, has to educate, has to create that avalanche, the tsunami, and it's everyone's responsibility, because it's the entire value chain ecosystem. So you can't create a value chain ecosystem which is non-linear with one man.
Sure. So now the Keel Supers, you started doing the online shopping thing. It was a number of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How many years ago did you?
I think close to about 8 years.
8 years.
9 years, yeah.
8 years, and still most of the orders are coming from
overseas,
out of the country.
Because Sri Lankan orders have, I think, picked up, but unfortunately, even though they order, they go to the grocery stores and pick the thing. They order online.
So we still want to hold the coconut and shake it and see the exact. Okay.
Examples of where digital disruption created John Keels. Okay. So as I said, from a John Keys point of view, before I talk about disruption, so I took office as CI in 2006. So the biggest challenge that we saw is in terms of compartmentalization of technology and digital, right? So if you want to innovate, it's important for you to create the common platform. Common platform, at least where all the 80 companies and employees could collaborate. That's what we achieved at John Keys. With going into SAP, going into Microsoft O365, which was outsourced first to put the email on the cloud, MyPods on the cloud. Today, every employee at John Keys, provided they have any mobile device, access to internet, anywhere in the world, can collaborate, truly, right? So we want to take that concept next to our customers. So there's a huge challenge because when 80 companies have 80 different systems and customers interacting with them different touch points. So that's the challenge that we have to grapple with. So I know saying it is easy, preaching is easy, practicing is tough, right? So that is where we need to create an ecosystem. Our partners have to buy into it, our customers have to buy into it. So we have to, that's why I told Lakshman, we have to have many more events like this to create awareness that there is this potential. There are these possibilities. How can we co-create? How can we co-work? How can we co-collaborate? Because I cannot create a disruptive digital strategy sitting at John Keys as CIO without the involvement of all of you.
In order to do that, there has to be a mindset change, isn't it?
There is an ecosystem, right? The community has to participate. A disruptive proposition cannot be done without the masses.
What do you think is holding us back there? Trust?
What is holding us back is, as I said, is probably our leadership, the culture. Probably, as you said, brick and mortar works, why disrupt? And probably the fear of the unknown. A lot of people don't understand digital. So these are forums I think we want to at least make people comfortable with what's happening and to create the awareness so that this will become boardroom discussions.
And maybe we are still not comfortable working with the competitor.
Yeah, I think that the sense of a competitor today becomes a non-entity. Sometimes we compete, sometimes we collaborate. Even that happens with friends, right? Sometimes you go together, you might try for the same girl. That's competing, right? But you might have drinks together. So that happens in business as well.
In that example, only one person gets the girl.
Who knows?
Who knows? So do you? If it's a cultural thing that we feel it's okay, we don't feel comfortable like going out and trying to collaborate with someone we have been like really competing with over the years. Do you think that's going to be overcome or that's going to change in time?
I think it will probably change with I think the generational gap, generations evolving. I think it would. Today, if you look at, I'm talking about Target in US now. Today, all the supermarkets, the retail stores collaborate in terms of threat data. So they have created a forum where if one retail store gets hacked, they pass that information on an internal network to all the other retailers. So because they have common threat, common enemy, right? So common themes, common possibilities, common opportunity definitely will drive that. Now today imagine, Kapruka, I would assume that they are something like Uber. Now, if someone thought them as a competitor in transportation, maybe KFC would be having their own transportation hub. But if they see the benefit of collaborating with Kapruka and getting rid of their transportation unit, would there be better value for both? Right? So it's a question about getting back to your core competency. What's your core competency? Do you want to be in the entire value chain or part of the value chain where you're good at? And build scale on that.
Yeah, let's have a look at what other questions have come in. Okay, where would you see advertising agencies in this digital paradigm shift? Interesting.
Okay, I think if you look at, I think a lot of the advertising agencies are moving into that space. If you look at in doing creatives on, so that is where I feel we are probably, I don't want to be critical, but that is where we need to understand the entire holistic ecosystem. So you can't do a bolt-on digital strategy saying digital marketing campaign to organize, expect things to spiral. Because a lot of the advertising firms run campaigns on Facebook. I'll get your Facebook fan up to 50,000. But what relevance does the 50,000 have if your value chain is not enabled to capture that? I'm just saying today, if I think yesterday, Sambash, I think Aravind was talking about, I don't know if Aravind is here. He was talking about an example where he has checked into a hotel in Singapore and he was sitting in the lobby to check in. He has said, this hotel sucks, it takes about 1 hour to check in. So he had got a message from a company hotel saying, I hope your rest of the journey was in Singapore was good, and blah, 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 so that next time he will definitely look at that hotel up. So the negative sentiments becomes an opportunity for others because they're always listening, right? So digital gives you an opportunity to listen to whatever is happening, depending on whom you want to listen to. Whether you want to listen to all the guys out there, based on a segment, a sentiment, based on specific profiles, specific geographies, right? So that choice is yours.
I think it's all about being awake and being open to the customer
24/7.
Yeah.
So you have to be 24/7 because a human being cannot be listening to someone 24/7, but a machine can.
But still, if you take something like the social media, say I have a bad customer experience, so I go and use Twitter or on Facebook or something. I put a message up, and in no time there are so many other people commenting on this. This has gone viral.
Sure.
Now, if the company concerned doesn't know about it and isn't on the ball, it could be actually quite dangerous.
That'll be disaster, yeah, because I think that's why I'm saying when you get into digital, you've got to take a holistic view of all of those. Reputation management in digital strategy becomes a huge objective. So you need to have that unit. So these are evolving rules.
Yeah. See, right. one of the problems that I see is we're talking of 24/7. So companies have to work 24/7, yeah, which means some of the employees also will be close there. I think most of us here probably even check email at 11, 12 in the night. You feel compelled to, yeah. So what happens now? Stress also becomes 24/7.
No, because I think obviously that's where I think shifts and all of those would come in. Because if you look at the flexi time, all of those, I think the work-life balance is coming in different forms. If you look at in the developers, the flexi time. So people can work at any 8 hours, given the 24 hours. It's not only 8 to 5. You can even come in the night in Microsoft.
But Google. It's personal discipline also, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can work from home. With digital, my question is, how many of our employees need to come physically to office to work? And if you really look at, I'm sure it'll be around 50%. 50% of the people don't even need to have a table and a chair in office, provided they have access to their workspace, a laptop, a good ADSL connection, and good application and infrastructure ecosystem which can cater to their needs. You don't need the desk and chair. So today, most of the organizations like Google, Microsoft have moved into the soft seating. Right? They don't have permanent chairs even for the CEOs at Google in the Singapore office. Right? The first guy who comes takes the first vacant seat, second guy takes the second vacant seat, that's it. And there are common meeting rooms which people could book as a resource.
I think there was one question up there which was quite interesting, like that we are talking of all the positives about digital.
Negative.
What's the downside? What's the negatives?
So anything is a double-edged sword, right? So digital definitely has, as you would see, it could be the more digital you become, the more vulnerable you are for threats and attacks, right? So if a hacker wants to target something, if he hacks into something central, it could have a huge implication in terms of the company's reputation, right? So that's where when you're building a digital strategy, you've got to be cognizant in terms of the threats and potential reputational risk that you would carry by consolidating it one, and all the choices that you make, right? So that's why it's always good to go with established partners who are giving you the technology so that you don't have an issue of someone hacking into your system or there are lawsuits against you on privacy or data leakage. So obviously there are a handful of enough and more negatives issues that you need to be content with.
Yeah, because when everything is digital, if there's a software glitch or something, everything is.
I think today's Facebook ad, I think you know J-Lo's account got hacked, right? So made on Apple, but it's not. So today, if people are so stupid to have simplistic passwords across all the channels, and if that can be guessed, obviously it becomes a threat, right? Similarly, I think today there was a post on Facebook saying a Sri Lankan guy is getting sued in Dubai for posting naked pictures of his ex-girlfriend, right? So now these are things probably got to do with ethics as well, right? So digital is not a prescriptive thing to cure everything, right? So if a guy has different negative agenda, obviously he'll use it for the wrong reasons, right? So that's the world, right? Today, if you look at, I think they're saying the third world war will be a cyber war, not with guns, not with fought with weapons.
So it's not actually anything about technology. It's what we do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another question. Given that smartphone penetration is going to be near universal in a few years, yeah, what can companies like Elephant House do to engage the rural customers? I think that's pertinent.
Yeah, the issue about, I think, because on soft drinks, the most of the things that we see is in terms of availability. If you even take Elephant House, now we would manufacture soft drink based on a demand, right? So sometimes this guy might go to a store wanting orange barley, and they didn't have orange barley, but we won't get that feedback because we would only cover the secondary distribution sales. The guys who distribute maybe at the store level will capture what's there. But today, I know there are technologies which are getting piloted where on every refrigerator, I can put a sensor, a camera. So I know every time I open what they take. So more than that, if a consumer can give us a feedback saying, hey, I went to take orange barley, I couldn't find this. So it becomes a crowdsourcing thing like Procter & Gamble, right? So then we are getting immediate feedback of a product being available, not being available, or maybe a different flavor they would like to see, right? So that's where the co-creation really works. So the issue is, if that kind of information starts flowing, then are we geared to take that on and act on it? If we don't, obviously then people are not going to respond.
Sure, definitely. What's your take on e-government in Sri Lanka? I think lots of hype, lots of people talking about it. How much has happened?
ICT had done a lot, but I think we are probably far away because, as I said, the basic element for an e-government is an electronic identification card. I think we are still, I think we had 5 tenders, cancelled 5 tenders. I think now we are probably somewhere close to it, I think. So if we can get that nailed, then I think we have to merge the passports, everything to one ID. We can't be having 3 different identity cards for the citizen, right? So if that comes to reality, then rest of it is easier to automate. Because the basic challenge that we have today is a citizen does not have an electronic ID. So we got NIC, we have certainly as passports, there's no correlation between the two, driving license. So we have 3 different identity which are not correlated.
That's on the cards, isn't it?
Yeah, that's on the cards, but there's a huge debate about privacy and other stuff.
Sure. There's a question from this gentleman over here.
Ramesh, you know I'm digital friendly. My name is Arjuna Manamperi. By the way, Uber is coming. There was a job advertisement 2 months ago for the country manager.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering whether I should apply, but it's not decided.
On the papers?
Yes. Okay. Not on the papers. This won't go on the papers. It's on the internet, right?
Digital.
Yeah. So they were looking for the main guy here. Just listening to everything. Now, when I come to Cinnamon Grand Oak Room or wherever, when we talk about this kind of stuff, the video clips, everything that we put out, and what we discuss, our examples, are all good, and I fully agree. I mean, Ramesh I have no disagreement with what you have said. But if you were to really make, disruptive technology, disrupt or be disrupted, we'll have to go to I'm focusing on Sri Lanka for a time being. Some people can focus on the other side of the world. That's okay. But I'm really focusing on Sri Lanka. Is the language, for example, this mobile phone, everybody talks about so many mobile phones are there. Some people have more mobile phones than they need, etc., etc. Is the language playing a role? Because to really, you mentioned that, to interact with the business or whatever, the government, people have to interact. Is language holding us back? In other words, in mobile platform, I'm sure there are some tools, but it is not pervasive in fact, Sinhala or Tamil. That's number one question. Is language holding us back? Like I have noticed this in blogging, sometimes. There are local language blogs, but it's not ever present, number one. Number two, if you want to create a wave towards this digital interactions, if you want to really create a wave, tsunami, get everybody involved, I think any benefits or value creation has to happen out in the outside Colombo. Your thoughts? I'm just thinking loud.
Okay, because I think Arjuna, if you look at the 5 million internet penetration against maybe people on mobiles 20 or whatever. So today I think Sri Lankan Facebook penetration is about 1.4, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think all 1.4 million Facebook users are English speaking. I am not too sure. I don't think so. So I don't think language is so much an issue, because if you look at today, we are very tolerant to mistakes of language on social, right? We don't go and check for spelling and say, hey, because you lose acronyms, you lose signage, you lose these wild characteristics. So the challenge I see is in terms of a common objective to evolve. The rural thing is good. I think if you even take nanosellers, I think it's a phenomenal platform even to launch digital, right? Okay, today I know a lot of educational content getting delivered through nanoseller. I have sat on a couple of these spiralation programs which are funded by ICTA for entrepreneurs. A lot of innovative stuff is happening around the clusters, even for farmers to source their paddy, sell their paddy, meet the buyers, sellers. So I'm saying even at nanosellers, if you can create a digital for that, even for the village, right? The fantastic concept that I have seen is in Bangladesh, Grameen, right? I'm not sure how many of you all have heard of Grameen phone, which I think Telenor has the biggest share. I was in Bangladesh in 2002. So they had this concept where village lady is given a mobile phone, and she is like the guardian, and the entire village uses that phone and pays her for it. And that phone is given to that village head lady or whatever free. And from that, they went into call Grameen stores. So they started giving microfinancing to the village women because they saw this working. So ultimately, if you look at that entire connectivity brought about economic prosperity to the village, right? Because they had connectivity. Otherwise, they were isolated. They couldn't have access to markets. Then Grameen had those stores in Dhaka and all of those places where they sold those handlooms. So what I'm saying is, today, if you compare India and Sri Lanka, we only have the biggest economic hub, which is Colombo. India has 7 economic hubs. Primary, secondary, they are now talking about tertiary cities. What are we talking about? We are saying every time when we talk of a thing, they say we have an infrastructure issue. We can't reach from Colombo to Galle in 2 hours, that's an issue. But can digital subvent that? Why should all our employees be in Colombo? If we have good digital infrastructure, why can't they work from Galle, Kandy, wherever? Now today, we have BPO, rural BPOs, 4 rural BPOs, which are enabled by digital. We started in 2004. We provide employment to more than 300 people, including ex-LTD rehabilitants in Jaffna, right? About 10 BPO operation, which is enabled by digital, right? So inclusivity, I am saying digital has a better prospect to bring inclusivity, right? So the issue, I'm not sure whether language is an issue, because a lot of these people who work on rural BPOs are singular speaking. But at least they have the basic knowledge to interact with the computer and do those basic steps. So obviously there's an evolutionary path that we need to traverse, but I feel we always look for excuses for not doing things. And if we can look at this as a different platform which can create those options, I think we as a nation would have much more inclusive growth.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions from the floor? From the audience? Okay.
This question about human-to-human intervention versus human-machine. Because the challenge is, as I said, if you are going to have 70 billion devices, whether we like it or not, in 2020 on connected, right? Machine to machine is going to be the biggest mode of traffic into the future. So I'm not saying human to human communication should not happen, but it should happen on a need basis. Obviously within your own close circle it will be human to human, but imagine if, I think yesterday Mr. Tyagaraja, CEO of NDB, was talking, saying that in another 3 years, the prediction is there will be 1 million Chinese tourists coming into Sri Lanka. I don't know whether it has anything to do with the treaty, but that's the projection. If 1 million Chinese tourists come into Sri Lanka, how many of us know Chinese to interact with them? Right? So easiest option would be digitally enable a device where they could do self-service. Is it an option for me to go and teach people Chinese to cater to that market, or enable them in a platform that they could communicate in the language that they know? Right? So digital means different things to different people. Right? Obviously, if it's a Sri Lankan context, if you have the capability, obviously person to person is going to be good. But imagine if a guy at Cinnamon Raid wants to check out at 12:30 in the morning, and he wants to take off the flight and he wants to be in the airport at 2 o'clock, and for a want of a guy, he misses the flight. Is that better, or he knows that I have to be in the airport at 2 o'clock? If I check out at 12:45, I can predict that I'll be in the airport at 1 o'clock. So he has much more convenience to plan his travel, plan his stay. So he's not have to keep allowance for whether this guy might be there or there'll be a queue when I go to check out, right? So today even we're rolling out a new property management system across John Kidd properties, where we have the capability even to take the guest to the room and check him in the room, so he doesn't have to wait in the at the counter, right? So these are ways of giving enhancements in terms of customer experience, right? So it doesn't mean to say that we are taking the human element out. All I'm saying is, maybe I was misunderstood. I'm saying take the human element which is not necessary. If the human element is giving you an advantage in terms of customer satisfaction, keep it.
I think that makes sense. Just keep that balance, isn't it? There's a question. I don't know whether we agree with it, but for the last 15 years, we had only one genuine game changer in Sri Lanka, and that's e-channeling. What prevents us, and why are we bad in creating game-changing innovation?
I didn't. Sorry.
Okay, for the last 15 years, we have had only one genuine game changer, and that's e-channeling. Well, that's the question. Huh? What prevents us, and why are we bad in creating game-changing innovation?
I don't think that's correct to say e-channeling was the only game changer, because if you look at, there are a lot of innovations happen, but from Sri Lanka, but targeting outside markets. Right. So it's not. So a lot of people don't see Sri Lanka as a viable market because of the challenges that they're facing, probably the proliferation of the technology, the platforms, bandwidth cost, electricity tariffs, a lot of other challenges, access to human capital. So that's what I'm saying. It's ultimately about an ecosystem. Today, I'm just saying, if you have a proper crowdsourcing model, your talent could come from anywhere in the world. That today, when we do projects, we tap resources even from India. So even we are looking at a model where can we? I am an advocate of having a crowdsourcing employees for John Keys, even at least for IT, where the expert skills I could source. Today, I source a professor from University of Colombo for big data on a need basis. I don't need to have him on my permanent payroll, right? How many of us need a resource permanently sitting on our payroll, right? So if we can get to predicting our demand in terms of skills, there's obviously a supply side which is out there, and digital becomes a platform of marrying the two.
Yeah, sure. One more taken from the presentation: transact versus engage. Yeah. Why is our local digital applications? Why are we more on transact mode and not engage?
I think we are transact. I think the entire corporate culture incentivizes transact, right? Profitability. The engage is a qualitative aspect, right? Today, I'm just saying it is probably part cultural as well. Now, we would quickly try to do something and move on to the next customer because it's transactional, right? But for the wrong reasons. Now today, that's what I'm saying. Today, if you have been habitually coming to a restaurant in any of the hotels, you will have a relationship with probably one waiter, right? I'm sure, one or two waiters. And when you walk in, he will know, hey, so and so, sir, usually, and he will bring you the drink or whatever the food, right? So that then is a bit more than transactional. right? But the transactional, when that employee leaves, that engagement goes away because that intimate knowledge he has about you is in his head, not systemized, right? So a system like CRM, I'm saying if a customer comes to Cinnamon Grand for a month, orders maybe, I don't know, brandy, and goes to Shaya Bay, we should know this is his profile, this is what he wants. So when he checks in there, the guy should know this is what his preferred drinks, right? So then we are bringing customer delight. But can we bring that delight just by human engagement? You can, at a point in time, at a specific place. But can it make it universal? You can't. So digital has to intervene to do that.
Is CRM working in Sri Lanka?
I think so, because now we are implementing a central reservation system CRM across the properties.
Okay.
So we'll have a single client view by, I think we are rolling it out by April. All our 14 properties, including Maldives, will be on new platform.
Okay.
So we're hopeful that you all have better experience.
That's the hotels. But what about the other sectors? They might be having the same customers.
Yeah, true. That's the biggest challenge for us, because now today, if you look at across 80 companies, the challenge is that's where the big data stuff we are trying to mine and see how many of the customers who are customers in hotels are customers in other businesses.
So is it a problem to have a unified customer?
You can, provided it makes sense.
So doesn't it make sense?
The issue is, okay, now, so look at John Keel's is like a conglomerate. So the businesses, each industry group is managed independently, right? So obviously, if we are pulling all of those together, then there has to be a bigger agenda and a bigger thing. So that is what we are trying to do in the social space.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, like what I said, if you have an email, you can create a Facebook account, but you can create a bank account. So we are saying anyone in the world who wants to be part of John Keel ecosystem, who comes and likes any of the Facebook pages of John Keel's companies, will become part of a social community. That's the drive that we are taking. We are saying, be part of a social community. Then maybe, based on the interaction, you might become a loyalty member in one of the businesses. So the harvesting the data, getting people on the value chain, is on a digital platform.
Okay. So it's not as easy as it sounds. It's good, but it's
Preaching is easier.
Yeah.
Practicing is definitely tough.
Stuff. Are there any other examples of companies where CRM has actually been a hit?
I'm sure
locally?
the telcos probably use it heavily because I'm sure they have been the forerunners in the CRM space.
Okay.
Mobile companies, I'm sure Dialog, SLD.
Okay. A question on privacy. All this camera on the fridge, traffic light cameras, fingerprint IDs invades my privacy. Privacy law comes to play after I'm violated. Where do we draw the line?
No, I think normally all of that information should give you comfort that, even in a situation that you have equal access to that information as a law enforcement. I think that's where the access to information is what is important, because you shouldn't be worried whether that information which has the law enforcement being tinkered with, or even your identity data is being tinkered with. So privacy is a serious issue, but I'm not sure whether we are going to legislate it anytime sooner. I don't see signs of it. So then only ways for the law enforcement has to be much more effective. So we can't be taking 2-3 years to solve a case of that nature.
And even the concern of you're saying that the only asset a company might own might be data. But does it actually own even the data? Because that's also shared, isn't it?
Depending on what information, yes, it will be shared, and it will because it may not be proprietary.
Yeah.
Because now one of the issues that we faced actually, like now today, an employee would have a private email, a company email, a company phone, a private phone, right? So now today we are talking about MDM, mobile device management. And if say I have given him a device, he brings his own device and uses it for work. Where do you draw the line in terms of what content on that we own, what is his? Do we have the right to wipe his device fully? There are a lot of questions around those things. because we don't have clarity in terms of the laws. You can do anything, but then you have to defend it in court if it comes to litigation, right? But the challenge that I see today, the common sense prevails, but that's not good enough.
So if ownership can't be defined properly, then accountability can't be defined either. And that's another can of worms.
I think for Lakshman, maybe another panel on privacy aspect.
Okay, I think let's just maybe have some final thoughts, Ramesh, on. Are there any more questions from the audience before we wind up?
I've spoken enough. I think all of them are staring at me as if and keeping them away. So
from the food.
Yeah.
So any
my final thought is, I think I made it a bit more visionary kind of a thing, because I wanted people to take this as a positive thing that we could take back and debate in our boardrooms and create an avalanche, so that we really, I feel, if we leverage digital, Sri Lanka has a better prospect in being a trade partner for both China and India, sitting between the two biggest economies. I think we can be what Hong Kong is to China to India, right? But unfortunately, I think we are not leveraging probably the platforms that we could and collaborate where we could. But there's a 1.3 billion market which is sitting out there, just separated by a couple of miles.
I think when all is said and done, there are the pluses, there are the minuses, but what we can't get away from is that it's there to stay.
Yeah.
So we better make the best use of it and try to leverage whatever we can to stay on top of the curve.
Sure, definitely. I think, yeah. And also, I think in whatever platforms we debate these topics, even the chamber, all of that. So I think we are not debating this topic enough, and maybe not creating enough awareness of the potential of digital. I'm sure a couple of the case studies I share, I don't know whether you all have seen it before, but I'm sure that it will be an eye-opener. Right? For me, even when I looked at eGuardian, it looked as if it was a dream. 1,000 virtual stores out there in China, and today Walmart bought 30% into it, because they saw it as a huge threat for them. Right? So imagine if a homegrown virtual supermarket could threaten a player like Walmart, the power of digital. Right? So I don't think we should discount it. We should look at it in every opportunity that we have. Look at it and see whether we could leverage that.
Okay, I think we'll close there. Thank you very much, Ramesh. And it has been an extremely stimulating talk. I'm sure all of our eyes are now really open and on the potential of digital. And I think most of us are going to go back and start disrupting something. Let's hope it's not too much.
That'll be good. Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
But be careful about what you're going to disrupt tonight, okay? Sanjeev? Ladies and gentlemen, okay, before I thank our speakers, the two pleasant tasks. One is to, play this commercial on Mobitel Enterprise Solutions. Then, of course, I would like to invite, a senior manager from Mobitel. One of you lucky guys, one of you going to take home this beautiful phone, Nokia Lumia 625. So we'll come to this later. First, the mini documentary, please.
Mobitel Business Solutions offers a spectrum of services to improve the efficiency and accuracy of your business operations. With tracking, business automation, messaging, customer contact, and advertising solutions for corporates and businesses, Mobitel Business Solutions is geared to accelerate your business performance.
Do you know where your fleet is? Are you convinced that your company vehicles are being productive? If you're tired of losing track of your company vehicles, Interact is the answer.
Staff fuel allowances are a must for any company with field operatives, but the paperwork and procedures consume both time and money. With Mobitel One Fuel Card, managing staff fuel allowance is a breeze.
Are missed calls and opportunities eating into your bottom line? It's a waste to lose out on potential profits. No more missed opportunities with our 24-hour M-Call Center solution. Are you tired of carrying all your cards, chits, forms and receipts with you? Not to mention the hassle of replacing them when you lose them. The Mobitel iCard acts as your corporate ID, allowance card, access control card, and attendance monitoring card. With Mobitel iCard, all you need is one card.
Connecting you to a world of opportunities with a wide array of customized business solutions, Mobitel is ready to enable you to reach your maximum business potential. Contact our solution consultants now. Mobitel Business Solutions, accelerating your business.
I would like to invite Mr. Ravin Vikwaratna, General Manager, Marketing, Communications and Special Projects, to draw the lucky winner. Ravin? If Ravin is not available, not here, can we have somebody else from Mobitel? Okay. Hi, Ravin. Okay, the lucky winner is Manjula Disanayake, Senior Manager Business Development Domestic from Dankato Porcelain PLC. Is Manjula here? Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Ravi. So you got a tool to disrupt, Ravi. Sorry, Manjula. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the message is very clear. Either you become a disruptor or somebody else will disrupt. There's always somebody is around the corner waiting to disrupt your organization and your business. I believe that most of the Sri Lankan industries are disruption ready because we haven't seen great deal of digital interventions. Take for example our healthcare. Still, when you go to your hospital, you still need to carry, if you're 35, 40 years old, about 10-inch thick medical file with you. We simply don't have a system where you can have store your medical data and your doctors can access. Hope things will change near future and now makes our lives become much more digital friendly and digitally make lives easier by application of digital technologies. So remember, the date is 14th October. We'll have one full day on discussing how emerging digital technologies can enhance enterprise effectiveness and efficiency, and would like to see you as well as your senior management at the summit. So ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to thank Ramesh, sharing his views, his experience, his kind of roadmap, how to get into digital, how do you make your enterprise digital, what are the challenges, what are things that you need to look at, culture, how to create an ecosystem. It is not CEO's responsibility, it is not CIO's responsibility, but it's a responsibility of everybody in the organization at every level. Thank you so much. Ramesh, it's wonderful to have you once again, and we will have you again in 1 month's time on the same stage. Thanks so much. Thank you so much. Sanjeev, coming back to digital and technology platform and chairing this session. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and thank our speakers. And please join us for drinks. Thank you and have a pleasant evening.
LBR LBO CEO Forum.
Platinum sponsor.
The happiness of coverage. The happiness of connectivity. The happiness